Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a nice spring evening. It's very pleasant here in Houston. My big disappointment was today that I was decided to go ahead and buy that giant cuckoo clock that I found in Dallas a few months ago, and called them up and they said it was already sold. So then I realized it was going to be difficult to find a giant cuckoo clock. These cuckoo clocks are about 3 feet from top to bottom. So at least to give me something to hunt for. All right, as we can see, today was consolidation in the Dow, but from Friday or from Thursday night's close, remember we had said that if this was going to break out, there was the obvious breakout level, and they did. They took all the indexes up, which tells us very clearly that this is not resistance anymore, and that we're probably in our next wave to the upside. So today's doji wasn't really that detrimental even when the Dow was trading off, the Nasdaq was trading higher, as well as the S&P 500 also was trading higher most of the day. So I guess we can make this a little bit more extensive. Yeah. So, anyways, so that still means we're probably in a good solid uptrend still. And there was a resistance level here on the Nasdaq. Look for a 45-degree off of here for at least the next few days. All right, so let's see. Some of the other things that are influencing the market, it should be the interest rates had a big drop, or the the bonds had a big drop. I say big drop, not anything significant to affect interest rates. Crude oil prices have been moving up. Looked like they were turning over here, but they popped right back up again. So it looks like we're just at the breakout level at this point. And let me see what else we got. Gold's getting a little bit toppy in here. Having a hard time moving up anywhere. Same with silver. Silver's kind of getting toppy. However, notice what type of situation up there is silver. That may make a little bit of difference. Still not really going anywhere in any great hurry. And as we can see, it's pretty much moving sideways. Let's see. The grains kind of got lightened up here today. This is soybeans. Notice how it's having a hard time getting up through the 50-day moving average. More obvious is the wheat contract. Bearish engulfing, or I'm sorry, bearish Harame, then a gap down through the T-line. I suspect this might be that inverted scoop pattern, which if they start taking this down hard, it probably has a good strong move to the downside. That was wheat. Corn. Notice corn did a doji right at the 50-day moving average and gap down. That's a pretty clear message that we're probably heading down further. Shorted cattle the other day. Actually, I was long cattle. I was long cattle on that day, and that was the day my computer was stuck. That we spent all day trying to get it up and running. So when it came back up and it came back down through the 50 with stochastics heading down, that was a good indication that we were still heading down further. So I reversed the position, and so the loss that I made the other day, I pretty well got back today. And with the anticipation that we're still in this downtrending channel, that this could be the next target down here. Funny, Jim. Okay. I did have we did have a spare backup computer, and that's why I could get on every now and then, but had to sit here in front of this computer because I can't remember. I think AVG was coming in, cleaning it all off, and so I couldn't get too far away from it. All right, so let's see. What else do we need to look at? The dollar. Dollar is kind of wouldn't know whether to go long or short here. Obviously, it's better off to be going long. Oops. Hold on. Let's see what that message is. Whoops. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. That was Jim's message. All right. The dollar really not going anywhere. The British pound, it's getting a little bit soggy up here also. But it's in the euro. Well, the euro, same scenario. It's hit a bottom after a long, long down move. But this may just be the bounce up. If they bring it back down, remember, we're now back below the T-line with sell signals. There's your evening star signal at the same level. It just failed. So the euro you probably want to be shorting. And the Japanese yen can't get out of its own way. It's still in this steady downtrend. I'd still be short the yen. And let me see if there's anything else. Shortened feeder cattle also today. When it came back up a little bit, and then I saw that it couldn't get back up above the T-line and came back down through the open, that's when I closed out the position and went the opposite direction. Because this is basically telling us if they can't get up above these moving averages, it's just in a waffling, downtrending market. So now my next target is to see what it does, see if it comes down into this area. All right. What we're going to do tonight is kind of inundate you with gaps and kickers and how to use them effectively. Now, this morning, when we saw that DDD had opened up at the previous open, even though it sagged and started coming back up, if they started trading this positive, obviously it was going to create a green candle. But the most important factor that alerted us to there was strength in here was they closed here and they gapped it back up here, did some oscillations, but just took it positive. Now, we're up in the oversold area, but remember what the nature or what the result of a kicker signal is. It's a definite indication of which way the sentiment is going. So even if you're in an uptrend and you get a kicker, what I call a trend kicker, that tells you there's still more upside to that trend. All right, now some of the other ones that we were in now, and we recommended NAV this morning for one very distinct reason, or four distinct reasons. First of all, you have a doji followed by a gap up, number one. Number two, you can see that it's supporting right here on the 50-day moving average. Number three, your stochastics are still in a slow, steady uptrend. And number four, it broke out through this downtrending channel. So you've got a doji followed by a gap up through the T-line, breaking out into new territory off the 50. That's about as many good reasons to be in a stock as you can think of. So where is this one going to from here? If this is starting the next wave up. This is the wave up. So if it moved, how many points? 13 points from here. There might be another good 13-point run from this level. So anytime you see that doji gap up, that tells you there's going to be a strong follow-through. That was the reason we recommended ABMD, because it started from this doji right off the 50, followed by a gap up. Didn't start right off, but this already gave you a good message that this is probably in an uptrend. And notice what this didn't do. This didn't close below the T-line at any place in here. Now backed off today, but took it right back up. Still giving the T-line or the T-line time to catch up a little bit. But this is your best friend right here. A doji in the oversold area followed by a gap up. That's telling you which way they were going. The 5 reasons. Number 1. Let's see. Oh, which one we were doing that on? Oh, NAV. Number 1, you have a doji supporting, and you're seeing buying right on the 50-day moving average. 2, you have a doji followed by a gap up. That's the most important reason right there. Number 3, you're closing up through the 50. Number 4, your stochastics are still in an upward direction. Number 5, you're breaking out through this downward trend channel. So any one of this, I mean, this reason right here alone was strong enough to be buying that stock. Now, that gap up is very important. For example, we were long on Rovi the other day, but Rovi did kind of a doji. It was more of a doji over on the on TC Net on this day right here. Then they gapped it up in an overbought condition after a doji. That was very simple. And worst case scenario, after a gap up in an overbought condition, put your stop where it closed the night before. If it comes back down through there, it's all over. Why is that so important, or that gap up important? Because that's usually the exhaustion up there at the top. Now, could this be setting up as a J-hook pattern? Looks like it. But we wouldn't have known that from here. For all we knew, they were taking it back to the 50. So set your stops at logical spots, especially when you see a gap up. My first inclination is, oh man, they're going to blast this through the roof. And then I've got to come back to reality and say, you better set a stop someplace because they've gapped it up in the overbought area. Now, this was a good trade because of the scoop pattern. And that scoop pattern has been working very well. NetEase has that little scoop pattern. You continue to stay long on this. The gap up on Rovi doesn't look overbought on stochastics. Whoops, what's happened here? I don't know. Look overbought in you're above 80. That's the overbought condition. JC, what are you looking at? Now, right now, it's not overbought. Yeah, here's your overbought. That's 75, 80, right in this range. I mean, here's oversold. Up here is overbought. Okay, let's see, Rovi, which also puts us looking at Vivus. Vivus started giving us some indications that it might be in trouble. There's your doji, hanging man, bearish confirmation. The only confirmation it didn't have was that it didn't close below the T line. Bullish Harami, gap up. If it started backing off, you definitely pick a spot that tells you they shouldn't be coming down, especially down through the halfway point of the doji. So when you see that gap up, especially up here above the 80, get ready to put a stop somewhere, because you're already getting indications that they're starting to sell up here. If they're going to break this out, they need to be going this way, not coming back this way. And what else we got? CIMT did a nice little J-hook type setup. Make this bigger. Excuse me. So, again, observe the obvious. The obvious is they gap this up, they've consolidated, and they cannot close this back below the T-line. If this opens positive, you definitely want to be buying it. You've got this big rounding bottom with a little J-hook pattern. Is Vivus a short? Yes, but your first likely target is right down here to the 50. I saw somebody commenting today that all their shorts, they've just been getting hammered on their shorts over the recent past, and that's pretty much why you kind of want to have your money oriented toward what the overall trend is. There's some days where shorts will work, but if your overall trend is this direction, you got to kind of be conscious of that fact that we're in an uptrend. Things are going to have a harder time pulling back than they are continuing up because the investor sentiment hasn't really changed. Oh, let's see. Netties, we were working on the scoop pattern. O'Reilly's nice, perfect scoop pattern, and notice this. Notice the breakout. That trend kicker signal. Opened here, closed here, gap above the previous day's open and went the opposite direction, number one. Number two, broke out through the handle. So you've got a trend kicker signal telling you there's more upside. You've got a scoop pattern telling you there's more upside. This one, you just continue to hold until you see a sell signal. And that also was the same on our recommendation of BCOV. I mean, the longer this handle is, notice how flat this basically is. Then you had your little scoop, you had your buy signal, now you're breaking out to the upside. This one, if you own it, you continue to own it. If you're thinking of buying it, you wait till the next buy signal. And this might be just kind of waiting for the T-line to catch up. But that is definitely a scoop pattern with a breakout. That's why knowing where your gaps are is very important. Notice this was a perfect buy situation. Pattern right on a 50-day moving average. If they open a positive the next day, what's it telling you? That this area isn't going to be your resistance, and the 50 is not going to be at your resistance. That you're still in an uptrend, and we know what the result of a scoop pattern is. It's a very strong uptrend after it breaks out. Let's see, a few more here that we're following. Faux still looks good. The question was, is this getting old and tired? No, this one's still setting up. If this starts opening positive and trading positive, want to be buying. Let's see. I can't see the stock symbols on your screen in the upper left-hand corner. Not clear. Yeah, I don't know what I can do about that, other than I'll just repeat the symbol because some people have a problem seeing it up here. But this is FOE, faux. If this opens positive tomorrow, basically you've got this kind of fry pan bottom breakout setup. VHC also has been doing this little recovery after a rounding bottom. It can't close. They can't close it below the T-line. You continue to hold this, but you definitely do not want to see this open lower, trade lower. That's telling you that it's kind of fizzled. We're looking for that buying, which will send you up to test the 50, which would be somewhere right in this area. And then if it breaks through, then then you've got a good, strong trade. Okay. SBGI, also just kind of sideways for the time being. But we're still in an uptrend as long as it can't close below the T line. Obviously, right here, with kind of this wedge setup, they need to open up positive and break out to the upside. Okay. Let's see. UNXL doesn't look real exciting right now, but you've got to analyze what is moving this uptrend. There's your flutter kicker signal, which usually a flutter kicker signal tells you there's going to be more upside. And if there's more upside, that means you're going to be back up above the T line, which we are. More upside, we're still in this trend channel. So there's still a good chance this could have a good, strong run to it, taking you up to the top of the trend channel. So the reason this looks attractive, again, is because the flutter kicker signal is just as strong as the kicker signal. If you took out the flutter, this little doji, you'd have a strong kicker signal. I was explaining that before I even read your message. Oh, great. Oh, this is a solicitation call. I've got to put them on hold. Hold on for a second. Hello? Hello? Yeah, hold on. I got to put you on. Yeah, I got to put you on hold for a second. Hold on. Okay. We'll let them see how long they sit there. It's kind of cruel, but I get 10 calls a day from that same spot. Okay. All right, so this one, if it gets running, if we can observe what everybody else is observing, which is this is in a steady uptrend, that the next move could be to the top of the trend channel. Moved from here up to the top of the trend channel. Let's see. Susie, did I answer your question on the flutter kicker? Flutter kicker is when they open it here, close it down here. The next day they gap it up above the previous day's open, but they do a doji instead of a bullish candle. But we know the simple rule. I'll get back to you in a minute here, David. You just sit there. So they do a doji, but the next day we know the simple rule of a doji, that they're going to open it in the direction of, or they're going to trade it in the direction of how they open. So if they open positive, if you took, you know, we're going to have a green candle. If you took this doji out of here, you basically have a kicker signal that's sending you back up above the T line. All right, I hope that. So that is why you should. This one still has strength, even though this looks indecisive. You've got that flutter kicker signal in this one, and then IVC is also a good example of a belt hold. For those that didn't know what belt hold was, a belt hold is when you're in a trading range, like you can see here. Whoops. And then they gap it way down below the trading range. I mean, not just below, but well below. Okay, it took them only about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to sit there on hold. I hope they call back. When they gap it, oh, they are calling back. Hold on for 1 second, please. Okay. I'm not usually that cruel, but that's yeah. David, I'll be right back with you. Hold on. Well, that's an idea. I can turn the ringer off. There we go. Sorry about that. Ziggy, thank you. I don't think of that in time. Pablo, no. I don't care about the fundamentals because that's what we're not here. We're not here trying to analyze the fundamentals. We're here trying to analyze who the buyers and sellers are, and usually those buyers and sellers have already done the fundamentals, and we're just seeing what the results of their analysis is. So the fundamentals are already built into our charts. Remember, candlestick signals are the accumulative knowledge of everybody buying and selling during a specific time frame. So if they've done their fundamentals and the big guys are in there because they like it at this level, that's what the candlesticks are telling us. So anyways, all right. So this is a belt hold. And a belt hold essentially tells you they're sellers, they're sellers, they're sellers, they're sellers, and then all of a sudden they get rid of all the sellers. And this basically tells you they've stopped up all the sellers and the bulls have stepped in. Now there's no sellers in front of them, and the trajectory will usually be pretty strong. Yeah, this charting package is CQG, which is just, I use this because it's got good graphics, but it's expensive. I think I pay about $1,063 a month for it. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? CZR was one that was identified in the chat room today, but it's also, I think, even on the other charts, is a left-right combo followed by a gap up, consolidation. Now you've got the doji sandwich that brought you back up. So here's your what I call your stutter step, where they take it up, they pull it back indecisively, and then the buyers step back in. This should have a good, strong move from here. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on a positive open tomorrow with the anticipation that we're going to head into wave 3, which will be equivalent to wave 1. Okay, now there's a reason why you want to be able to identify, do you use TC1000 or anything? Yeah, you help that with the with a scanning as well as Metastock. Yeah, so Pablo, yeah, I use the TC2000. That's this one right here. All right. Now, Ziggy showed us the prime or perfect example of how you use a candlestick signal and a buy stop effectively today. MBI. Notice what it did the other day. Kind of a little kicker signal to the upside. Now, where was the real breakout of this? Well, you could probably draw a line right through there, or the 50-day moving average. So was it ever going to get there? Well, could be. You could be buying this on positive trading, but it could have stalled at the 50 or could have stalled at this level. So you just put a buy stop somewhere up here that if it gets up through that level, that tells you the bulls are in there. In this case, Ziggy made a very good trade. Got in and got out with a big profit today. Now, can you catch every trade like that? Not if you're sitting there watching, but if you have your buy stop, especially after a buy signal, at a technical level that you know if it breaks out through there, you're probably going to get more upside. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a huge profit like this. What was that up? About 40% today? Even if you get a 5% gain on a trade, or it moves 40% over the next 2 weeks, At least you knew you got in at the right time. And that was the same reason why I said watch DDD, because DDD was doing that kicker, trend kicker. It should have more upside to it. U.S. Steel also has this little kicker type signal staying above the T line. That tells us there's probably more upside to it. The buy signal from MBL was the Morningstar pattern. Yeah, Morningstar kicker type signal. So you had Doji. You were at the bottom of a trend channel, then a little kicker signal to the upside that closed above the T line. If it opened positive, you could be a buyer. Or if you knew this might be a resistance level, you put a buy stop just up above it, or just above the 50. That if it came up through there, you could be buying. Now, does that hurt you? Well, you could have bought here, but you could have bought here, and it could have just waffled around and got stuck in here. You didn't know that. So there's lots of times where if the trading firm, now I know you have to make special arrangements with people like Toss, where if you put a buy stop up here, it already takes the equity out of your account as if you were buying it. You've got to make arrangements for them to say, I don't want that to happen, that as soon as one of my trades executes, I'll immediately cancel the other trades. So you could have 5 trades put on like this. None of them may execute, or one may execute, or 2 executes, and you're out by the end of the day, and the second one executes. It doesn't matter. You're not leveraging yourself. It's okay. What to expect next move? I would expect worst case scenario is that you're going to have a 45 degree come off of here. Anytime you see a huge move like that, you're still going to have buyers, but it's going to be on that trajectory. All right. Let's see. Oh, they're calling again. Huh. They just won't quit. Oh, I got to do it. Nah. Okay. All right. Now, also, the gap up is your gap up. Your gap up from a doji signal is your best friend. That's why I'm demonstrating this tonight, because most people are afraid to buy a stock that might be up 10, 20, 30% already. But if it's doing the right signal, you want to be in it, because it could have a huge one after that. They know I'm home, yep. Yeah, Kramer's calling. I give him advice, he just doesn't listen to it. And so the gap up can occur in many places, and usually it's at a breakout level that we're looking for. LGN gapped up today off a spinning top through the recent highs. And notice what type of pattern it was setting up. A wedge pattern, which was forcing everything to the upside. This is what I call the T-line crunch. Notice how the T-line kept pushing you up, and there, if you draw a resistance level right here, they pushed it up until they shot it through or forced it through the resistance level. So essentially now we've got a wave 1 that came out of a fry pan bottom, a wave 2, which is a wedge pattern. Now we're into wave 3 that's gapping up after a spinning top doji off the T-line. This probably has the potential of another move like this. Oh yeah, the Boya candlestick is the kicker signal, and the yes, same for the gap down also. A doji followed by a gap is your best friend, depending on which direction you're going. Um, all right, so you've got other positions right now, like MINI. Notice I've got things popping up all over the place here. Notice you got the inverted hammer, gap up. That alone is your advanced method rising, telling you there's more upside. Now, look where you are. Even though you're in the overbought condition, they're gapping it through the resistance level. They can see that was a potential resistance level. If they've gapped it up through that level, that tells you they don't care this is a resistance level anymore. They're going higher with it. So when they gap it up, I would suspect you're on a 45-degree, which would be the same trajectory as this right here, that this still has more upside. IQNT was also brought up in the chat room today. Notice when it started, coming out of the fry pan bottom, cup and handle setup, and then they gapped it up. Now you're in that 45 degrees. So anytime you see that indecisive trading and they gap it up, especially through the T-line and through resistance levels, it's not, you shouldn't be worried that they've already moved this up 35% because something new and dynamic has happened in that stock. You want to be in it. And so we're going to go through a few situations here of the different gaps. Same scenario right here, kind of a little resistance level, had a J-hook pattern coming out of that fry pan bottom, and they gap it up a little bit and take it up through this level. It basically tells us there's more upside. MWA. Did something terribly wrong. WA. S.MWA. Something's pinging me here. Well, what is happening? Ha! Let's try this one more time. Dot MWA. There we go. Notice where this doji. Now, remember, we're sitting right here, coming out of kind of a little wedge formation with a doji. What do we know about the doji? They're going to move it in the direction of how they open it after doji. I am not understanding all this. Why are all these other something unusual is happening there. I got all sorts of things opening up. All right. So we had a doji. We know the simple rule of the doji. It's going to move in the direction of how they open it. They open it positive. In this case, they gap it up. And where'd they gap it up? They gapped it up through this little downtrending channel. That told us there's now a new dynamic in this stock. Yeah, pushing all the buttons. That's right. They're now calling my computer. Let's see. GTE. Where did they gap this one up? Coming from that stutter step type trade or setup. They gapped it right through this level. So anytime you see a gap through a resistance level, especially after you've had some buying or buy signals setting up, notice the little tweezer bottom here, you definitely want to be going after it. The reason I'm showing gaps is a lot of people get very hesitant about buying a stock that's already up 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30%. Okay, something is going on here. Jules will, yes, as a matter of fact, we are just finalizing the high profit patterns for Metastock. They should be on, I guess, I'm working with Jeff Gibby. All right, notice what we had here. A little teeny gap up, but it went up through this level. So they were, even though they knew there was a resistance level right here, they were gapping it up and going after it strong, knowing that this resistance level is here. So this stock was up pretty hefty on the day, up 5%. It still got more upside. So you're basically in wave one. Wave two is a fry pan bottom. Now you're going into wave three. So this would be a good option trade. I better put a little star next to that. TEX. Bullish Karame, gap up through the T line. That's got a lot more upside. What other elements can we see? Bottomed here before. So we have a double bottom followed by a gap up. This one has probably got enough energy to get back up toward the top of this trade. Probably we will start the options next week, Susie. And TSLA, showing this one because notice the uptrend. The uptrend started with that gap up. They consolidated it and started bringing it back up. But this was the message. They broke out through this level. They couldn't get back down below the T line. Now they've done a little kicker signal up here. That means there's still more upside. With these strong up signal, a short squeeze, it doesn't matter, Larry, why they're there. If I'm buying a stock at 10 and selling it at 20, I don't care whether it was short squeeze or whether the institutions were buying or little grandmothers were buying. I just know that stock price is going up. Would you call that a W formation? Yeah, or double bottom or a W, whatever you want to call it. And LLT. This one you want to take a good strong look at. Doji gap up, consolidation. Now they told you the profit taking's over from Friday. This one you want to be buying. They're probably going to easily get this back up through the 50, which means your next target is up here in this range. And Wendy's. Wendy's did a doji, started your uptrend. Then you consolidated and then gapped it up through this resistance level. That tells you there was more upside to it. Good Tesla, GLNG. There's your doji, bullish confirmation, gap up from the confirmation through the 50. No, Leafs are going to come up and test this level. Probably get all the way up to the 200, which would also be filling the gap here. Yeah, ALLT was the previous one. BGFB. Notice how this started out and they gapped up, still in a strong uptrend. This is where you're looking to see what they're going to do at this level because they've been here before, and if they gap through it, especially coming out of a fry pan bottom setup, that tells you there's still more slingshot to the upside. Pablo, no, we're going to tomorrow. If you're in here as a member. Each night we put out stock picks in the member area. So the 2 or 3 best will be in there. But the purpose for being here is to learn not to just use the stock picks, but learn how to scan and identify these type of trades. I'm usually buying stocks, options, and commodities during the day, Randy. And basically it's a matter of where am I going to get the best leverage or the best use of my money, as whether a stock or an option. Another one that gapped up slightly and pushed through this level tells us there's a new dynamic in this one. This is AXL. And well, for some reason I had this one on here, and I don't know why. So I'm going to swiftly move on before I figure out why I did have it. Another kicker type signal up through a resistance level. You're going to be in a 45 degree. This is a very important, this is the eye catcher. This is when they gap up, especially a kicker type signal through a resistance level, that tells you there's a dramatic change of investor sentiment. And it's not going to go away immediately. THO, same scenario, left-right combo with a gap up through this resistance level and this resistance level. So you got your little J-hook pattern that's starting with a gap up. That's exactly what you want to be able to see. First of all, you can identify what the pattern is. And looked like a kicker of the sale. That's why I was trying to get it off pretty fast. No. It might have been. I might have been looking at this. I don't know why I have AN on here. So I'll. Now, EXXI was one that we recommended as a short while ago, and then it didn't confirm. But now we got a bullish Harame followed by a gap up through the T line. This basically tells us this was a bottoming area. Look for your next resistance level. Pablo, that's true too. And WBMD, nice fry pan bottom, and notice what's happened over here. They have gapped it up through the resistance, and now they've taken it all the way through. This one has still got plenty of upside left to it. So this is probably a good option trade. And HOV, that's heating oil. I do that every time. All right, notice this one because this has your perfect setup. Look where they bounced it, right off the 50 or off the 200. Where they taking it to the 50. There's your left-right combo to the very side. They're failing at the 50, but they come right back here and do a morning star signal. The next day they open it, or Friday they open it positive and did a doji right at the resistance level here. Makes it very simple. If it opens positive, you're buying immediately because you'll have a doji sandwich. If you have a doji sandwich, that means you're not staying at this resistance level. That you're now in your next phase of a J-hook. Now your next target is probably up in this area. Left-right combo. Left-right combo is a doji followed by a bearish engulfing signal. That tells you they were indecisive. The next day they told you which way they were taking it. A bullish left-right is a doji followed by a bullish engulfing signal. Positive open the next day, it's telling you which direction they're going to take it. A left-right combo, the reason we pointed out is because it is a very strong reversal signal. Anytime you have a doji and a reversal signal, it's going to be stronger than most signals. And the left-right combo is just a very convincing or very compelling signal. It basically says it was indecision, and then all of a sudden there was big decision, and that's the direction they're going to be going. Here's another one that gapped up, had a doji right here on the resistance level. Made it very simple. If they open up positive, which way they're going? They're going to go positive. They go positive, they're not at the resistance level anymore, and we can also see it's a J-hook pattern. So again, the more pieces of analysis that we can put into the just visually recognizing what's going on, the higher the probabilities we're going to be in the right trades at the right time. Let's see, EVEP. So there's a big, strong Morningstar signal. This just happens to be a good, strong chart. Very simple. If this opens positive, what's it telling us? Is the 50s or the T-line's not acting as resistance? It's confirming the Morningstar signal. Stochastic's coming up. Good possibility of bouncing up to the 50, which would make this a decent percentage trade. And IRBT, ruh-roh, S.IRBT, doji gap up. Anytime you see that, and again, they illustrate the doji gap up, especially through a resistance level. And then notice what type of trajectory we have after that, kind of a 45-degree. So I know this is repetitious, but I want people to get kind of over the apprehension of buying after a gap up. This one I just put up Quicksilver because you've got this big rounding bottom and you're just at the breakout level. This one can be bought on positive trading tomorrow. Pablo, we'll get to the individual stocks when I get all done, which I'm almost done. I'll just first I'll ask if anybody's got general questions on candlesticks, and then I'll tell Jim to do the double line, and that's where you put in your request for individual stock positions. Lows, also nice rounding bottom, and look where it's breaking out. When they gap it up through the resistance level, that tells us there's probably a lot more upside to the lows, which means essentially you've got a wave 1, wave 2 sideways, wave 3 could be the same magnitude as this right here. Pat, yes, the 2000 TC2000, the gold package is just as good. If you're not a day trader, you're more of a swing trader, it works very well for scanning for swing trades. Yes, lows at an all-time high means something's going right. A positive open is that when we wake up in the morning, Ed, that we don't see that the pre-market futures for the Dow are down 80 points, and the Nasdaq's down 15 points, different than what we would expect if we were in a steady uptrend. So I don't want to see the market itself pulling back, and I'd like to see a positive open or at least close to flat on the next day in the individual stock. Would like to even see a gap up if we could. So a positive open to me is just where everything generally has not turned negative. The stock shouldn't have turned negative, and the market shouldn't have turned negative. Just kind of that we don't want to see there's any real big pullback. Let me finish 2 more, and then I'll get to the questions. See. SIQ. This one is our classic. Fry pan bottom, breakout, J-hook pattern. Now they have told us that the selling or the profit taking is over. Look for another move that could be the same magnitude as this move right here. And that's why we call this the classic, because the classic is we know what should happen after a fry pan bottom, a good strong breakout. We know what should happen for a J-hook pattern. We need a good strong price move, which is the result of a fry pan bottom. And after the consolidation's over, we have the next wave up of that the J-hook pattern. And IRE, Bank of Ireland, wrote IRE also has this wedge formation. If this opens positive tomorrow, you want to buy it because you've got wave one, a wedge sideways, and now if they break it out, you're going to have wave three. So that I can see there's a question on wave 1, 2, 3. Is on your videos you mentioned stocks of 1233. That's the stochastics. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Stochastic of 1233. And maybe the stochastics of 422 for shorter frame, like 1 minute. If I was trading the E-minis in a 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute combination, I'd put the 1233 in the 422. Now the 422 will give you quicker wiggles and kind of alerts you, but the 1233 is still the one that you use. The 422 is just kind of a quick alert setup. But I would still use would use that same combination if I'm using the 5, 10, 15 minute combination. Now, I say that kind of generally. Use whatever is works well. It might be a 5-3-3 instead of a 4-2-2, or a 4-3-1. Just play around with it to see when the little tops and the little bottoms coincide with the 12-3-3 bigger chart or bigger moving averages. Bigger stochastics. Okay. Can you please touch upon the discussion of the wave 3 concept and how that plays into another arrow of the quiver of patterns? Okay. Everything kind of moves in waves. Now, I'm not interested in Elliott wave because even Elliott said that his waves were subjective, but he basically proved or kind of gave more evidence that prices do move in waves. So if I'm looking to buy this, I'm not looking to hold this long term. I'm looking for the next price move. So if I can see if this is wave 1, this is wave 2, and this is wave 3, that's what I'm looking for is the next wave. If I'm looking at this as wave 1, and this is starting to pull back, I'm looking at this as wave 2, and this is starting wave 3. Now if it pulls back, now I'm looking at this as wave 1, wave 2, and this is wave 3. So if it's breaking out through here, I'm looking at the bigger pattern, which is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So I'm just counting the waves. It's not that wave 1, wave 2, or wave 3 is anything unique. It's just that we know the prices move in waves, and that if this breaks out and moves up, it's got the potential of having this type of price move, because this consolidation of wave 2 was the result of this price move over here, and then when they finally got all the consolidation done, that price move stays intact. Let me see what I've missed up here. Okay. TC2000 new feature now after hour prices, just not information. Okay. Premium version. Okay. I think First Solar has earnings tomorrow. It should lift the whole sector. If they beat, probably will. Good flow into the stock lately. Yes. First Solar, and I'll go to First Solar just to kind of indicate that First Solar had the big move up, and then it's going to have a 45-degree afterwards. So something like JKS, JKS also could be on a J-hook pattern that if everything moved positive tomorrow, you want to be buying this. Because if it breaks this little pattern right here, now we got the potential of another move, same magnitude. But Ireland has to break above its long-term resistance here, correct? Yes. So that's what we're watching. We already know that if we broke this down as a piece by piece, that this is still a little rounding curve starting to break out to the upside. That's good. Number two, it closed right here at the resistance level with stochastics heading up. That's good. Number three, we can see the longer pattern as a wedge pattern. That's good. So we can also count wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So, yes, but it needs to break this level. This is the whole purpose of identifying this, is that if this opens positive tomorrow, confirming this little pattern and breaking out, it tells us that they're now in new territory, that there's no resistance, there's going to be some good upside to it. How do we scan for gap ups and gap downs? John, that's what we're going to do. That's a whole session. That's what we're going to do. Is it Wednesday night? I think Wednesday night at 7 is a free session for members on scanning techniques. Abe and Becky will get that information out to everybody. The 1233 is a 12-day stochastics on, or is it a 3-day stochastics on a 12-day moving average? But that's essentially what I use. And there's nothing sophisticated about 1233. It's just that I would go back and I'd say, all right, where's the bottom? What corresponds best with the bottom as far as stochastics? Where's the bottom? Where's the top? So I just went back and tweaked it and used numbers until I saw that they were curling down at the same time the stock was curling down and curling up when the stock was curling up. Bollinger Bands, you can use Bollinger Bands, but right now, in all the years that I've been trading, I have not found anything that is more accurate or more informational than the T-line. And the T-line is probably some sort of derivative of the Bollinger Bands. It just might be the center point of it. So, anyways, nothing to keep from using Bollinger Bands. We've had John on here a couple of times showing how he uses Bollinger Bands, but he even admits, too, that Bollinger Bands aren't anything that shows you when to buy or when to sell. It just shows you pretty much when it's out of the range of what it normally is on a, whether he uses a 2 or a 3 standard deviation. So it was just telling you when something gets too far out of the Bollinger Band, it's probably going to come back into it. Same scenario as the T-line. If you get too far away from the T-line, it's going to come back and test it. Why not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Bruce, you got me there. I don't know what. Do you have a video that shows all the patterns so that I may always study every day and take notes? Yes. Remember, there's a whole section on our website of videos, and obviously for members they're at a discount price, or we will eventually get to that type of trading sometime. We try to do 2 or 3 trainings each month, get to some part of that, some training, so you don't have to buy the videos. Okay. Do you use volume at all? No. The only time volume comes into play is if you see a volume spike somewhere just as they're turning it, or at a bottom and there's a big volume spike. That usually tells the weak is selling into the strong, or vice versa at the top. But a lot of people say, oh, I want to see volume go up as the price goes up. Volume and price have absolutely nothing to do with each other. If nobody's willing to sell the stock, the price is going to go up on small volume because people are going to buy whatever stocks they can get their hands on. So, yeah, volume is just kind of an extra fluffy. That if you see big volume at the reversals, that means there's a lot of stock that has changed hands at that level. Let's see. First thing this morning, you were bullish even though the stock was flat. You liked the fry pan bottom and multiple dojis. Indecisive trading. Today's trading was positive with the open, a small kicker, but today was another doji and could have repeated April 24 and 25, where it moved slightly positive and then rolled back. What is the pattern now that makes you so bullish? Today's candle wasn't very big. I wouldn't say I was bullish. I just said don't get rid of it because the pattern is still in place. This is still kind of a fry pan bottom, and this is a little rounding bottom here. This is things building up. So somebody was saying, oh, everything else is moving nicely. This one's still kind of stagnant, and this was when it was down a little bit. The pattern is still there. So don't sell something just because it's not participating if the pattern is still in progress. So again, I'm bullish on FO in the sense that there was nothing wrong with it, even though it wasn't doing anything today earlier. It's got the pattern that has the potential of a big, strong move to the upside. Can you please put up weekly charts on SPY with Bollinger Bands, please? Jules, I don't know. I don't even know how to get Bollinger Bands on these charts. Let's do that another time. Okay, your reviews point out, like tonight, at least 25 good candidates. How do you narrow it down to the best few that trade positive tomorrow? Michael, remember when we went through some of these, we could find 3 good reasons, 4 good reasons, 5 good reasons to be buying. The more good reasons you can find to be buying, the higher the probability you're going to be in a correct trade. Now, are there somebody was saying, oh, your trades were all good today. Let's see, what did we recommended Maxwell because it had a doji right here at the kind of the resistance level that if it traded positive, it would be breaking through here and still maintaining this fry pan bottom. I'd still be buying this on positive trading tomorrow because it would be breaking out through this level and through the 50. So that was up. Let's see, what else did we recommend? Mine like a steel trap. NAV was also recommended because of the little doji gap up. And IMMR was recommended because of the Morningstar signal, then the gap up through the breakout, and so we're expecting another strong day. Why? Because when they broke it out before, they had a couple strong days. So today we had 3 good ones. But there are days where we may have only 1 out of the 3 that opens correctly and you want to be buying it. Some days, none of them open correctly. But if I go through my scanning process, I'm usually narrowing it down to, when I get to the final 3, it's probably of a list of 6. So the final 3 I've just analyzed and say these all have the elements of the best probabilities of going up tomorrow, provided they open properly. Well, if the next day they don't open properly, or none of them open properly, well, there's still 3 more on that list that I pulled these off of to look at and say, are any of these opening properly? And if none of those are working well, those 6 were pulled off a previous list that may have had 12 on it, so there's 6 more to look at on that list. So now I forgot what the question. Oh, so that's how you kind of narrow it down, and that's what we'll be kind of doing in the scanning training on Wednesday night. Is how first of all to find the best trades, and then get 25 trades. How do you narrow it down to the best 2 or 3 for the next day? How does that correlate with stocks indicating overbought? I don't know what that was, Randy. Do you do more swing trading or day trading? More swing trading. I used to trade the E-minis on an intraday basis, but I just felt like a wet dish rag by the end of the day, and I was leaving. I was watching to see if I could make a couple $100 more at the end of the day instead of looking at my big portfolio, just leaving it flopping around there just to try to make an extra $200 from a E-mini trade. I found that life is a lot more relaxing for me just to trade the big positions. Do the waves have corresponding time durations? How long do we wait for wave 3 to start? Stock could be flat for quite a while. That's why we're buying wave 3 when all the indicators tell us wave 3 is just starting. So if I thought IRE was starting wave 3, I wouldn't buy it until it broke out through this level to confirm that wave 3 was starting. So I'm not buying something waiting for wave 3 to happen. I'm waiting for wave 3 to happen so I can buy it. We are out to SD right now. We are out to, you don't know what that means. I believe, look at Google and Amazon for the recording. All right. All right. Thank you, Betsy. Yeah, a lot of the information that we're going through here is in the books. Plus, I think Pat has set up for May 18th and 19th a 2-day training session, which we go through a good amount of the information. And then remember, if any of you want to go through a private training session, we are scheduling, I think, from October 10th to August 10th to August 20th up on Keuka Lake. We'll probably have a couple sessions up there this summer. So keep that one in mind. Okay. Do you use a limit order or market order? Usually I'm just using a market order because if I see something that's doing what it's supposed to, I want to get in it. I don't care whether I'm paying an extra 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 20 cents for it. Because if it's doing what it's supposed to, then I've already anticipated it's already going to produce another 2, 3, 4, or $5 or more. And what time do you? Usually it's late at night, Sharon, when I post the picks, because I'm usually waiting to the end of the day when everything's quiet, and then I can concentrate on which ones are the best ones. All right, yeah, I've been trying to sell this darn cat for years. Uh, okay, I guess with that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. Let's see, I skipped some here. Explain doji sandwich. We'll do that as we go through here. No, the material on any of these videos, Pat, whether the video is 8 years old or 8 weeks old, doesn't matter because the information is still going to be the same. Remember, we're looking at information that's the same as it was 400 years ago. So it doesn't have to be fresh information. It's still, the patterns, the signals are still the same as they were last decade, last century, last 4 centuries. I usually trade stocks that are greater than $5. Let's see. Wednesday night, it's still 7 o'clock Central Time. Pablo, stocks greater than $5, so I can margin them. Any limit to number of waves? Ed, I'm just trading wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 because I want to make my profit on the next wave that I can identify. I'm not trading, I'm not buying or selling because of the waves. I'm buying or selling because I know the waves are going to be taking effect. Okay, with IRE you indicated more room to move. How does that correlate with stochastics indicating overbought? Because it's coming out of a pattern. It's coming out of our slow curve, and it's coming out of a wedge pattern. So remember, and it's also got kind of this T-line crunch pushing it up into the top of the trend. So remember, where do most people buy? They buy exuberantly at the top. So if this investor sentiment is building up, where's it going to break out? It's usually going to break out when the investor or when the stochastics are in the overbought area. That's why you want to know the elements of a pattern versus a signal. Signal you're looking at buying at the appropriate time of the stochastics. The pattern is usually going to break out when the stochastics are in the overbought area. PSI or PSX, this one has that J-hook pattern, Morningstar signal, gapping up. This one I would definitely be buying on positive trading tomorrow. Using the 50 as a stop. ACTV, left-right combo. Doji, hammer, bullish engulfing. That tells you they've wiped out the sellers. Now you only have no selling in the rest of the in the way anymore. Look for the 200 to be the next target. And LOCK, another one with a rounding bottom, slow curve. If this opens positive, you can still be buying it. Tells you the 50 is not going to be acting as resistance anymore. XIN, let's try S.XIN. Another little scoop type pattern. Now it's broken through the resistance level. This one you can be buying with the anticipation that you're still going to get a slingshot effect to the upside. And SRPT. This one has to open positive. If it opens negative, you got obviously a bearish doji sandwich. Opening positive, you need to have that kind of morning star. It needs, and you're at a doji. Remember, that's going to move in the direction of how they open it after a doji. ISIS, another one that can't get back below the T-line. This one you can be buying on positive trading tomorrow. It tells you the T-line has been or is acting as resistance. And another J-hook pattern setup with Doji Doji. If this opens positive, it tells you they're above the T line. Notice they bounced off the 200. So you've got wave 1, wave 2, starting wave 3. So wave 3 of a J-hook pattern is going to be the same as this one right here. That's a good looking chart. And that is MD. What was it? BN. All right. Cisco. Cisco is kind of sluggish in here. I wouldn't be long or short because you can't tell which way this one's going, or not that so much as you can't tell it's going anywhere. So I'd have my money someplace else. BSFT. This one, long-legged doji at the breakout. You're in the overbought area, but this is very simple. It's going to move in the direction of how they open this tomorrow. If they open this positive, you basically have that fry pan bottom breakout because it's essentially telling you they're still using the T-line as support and the 50 is not acting as resistance. If it breaks out, good probability that they could be heading up at least to fill this gap, number one. Number two, back up to the 200-day moving average. And GMCR, a doji right here at the resistance level. If this opens positive, especially if it breaks through this level here, that tells you that you're coming out of this little rounding bottom and breaking out into new territory. Probably good move, good strong move to the upside from here. CBL, gap up from a doji through the resistance level. Worst case scenario is on a 45-degree, which puts you in the same trajectory as what was going on before they had the little pullback. OWW, this one you can buy on positive trading because it would be telling you that this kind of downtrending channel has been broken and you're doing a J-hook type pattern. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. And MWA, whoops, S.MWA. This one we used as an illustration tonight, showing that when it gapped up through this level, I told you there was more upside. I wouldn't necessarily be buying it here. I would be holding it, but I would use today's open as my stop. If it comes back down through the previous candle's open, it tells you the bears are bears are starting to take control. And what did I do here? NSM. This one, all you can do is stay long until you see a sell signal and a close below the T-line. Pfizer, you stay short until you see a buy signal. Notice how it can't get up above the T-line, number one, and number two, it couldn't hold the 50-day moving average. Guild, all you can do with this one is stay in it as long as it stays above the T-line. Bank of America did a kicker type signal today. This one, J-hook pattern, you can be ready to buy this, especially if they break out through this level. And Visa, notice your doji gap up off the T-line through the resistance level. You're in a probably going to be in a 45-degree coming off of here. COR, Horn, S.COR. Another little gap up, which could lead to another 45-degree, which would kind of put you in the same upward trajectory. And SBGI. This one you stay long as it doesn't close below the T-line, but kind of the little doji day-to-day tells you they definitely need to see it open positive tomorrow to hold it. And XONE, still in an uptrend just like DDD. You continue to hold this one as long as it doesn't close back below the T-line. BlackBerry in a wedge. I wouldn't be long or short until it breaks out through the upside. And Goldman. Goldman is in an uptrend, and that's good for the market as long as Goldman's in an uptrend. Notice a little gap up doji that took us up through this level, broke through the 50. If it opens positive, breaking through this big downward trend channel, that means there's wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 could also be substantial. INVN. This one you just stay long now. This one definitely wants to get up to the 200, so it better open positive tomorrow. And then I would use today's open as your stop. It shouldn't come back down through that level. And ONTY. Another one that you stay with as long as it stays above the T-line. You can see you're in a slow uptrend. They should be coming back up to at least the top of the trend channel. And SYNA, this one you can still be buying. A little gap up from the bullish Harami that told us the selling had stopped. This one you can stay long as it stays above the T-line. And let's see, that was SYN. Say MX. MX also stay long, but if this one opens weaker tomorrow, you'd probably if it opens weaker tomorrow, you definitely do not want to see it trade back below the T-line. I would tell you they finally fizzled out. Whoops. S.CFL. But we're looking for S.CLF. Oh, try that. Another nice looking chart. If this opens positive, tells you the 50 is not acting as resistance, your little scoop type pattern indicates you're going to have more upside. Let's see. And now you've all scrolled down past me here. Maxwell, we recommended or re-recommended this morning. This one you could still buy on a positive open tomorrow. And Dunkin' Donuts, stay long until you see a sell signal. Doji type sandwich, big bullish day, then a doji, then they open up positive. We know the simple rule of a doji. They're going to move it in the direction of how they open it. But they only did a small day, but there's a correlation with this day and this trading that if they don't take it up that full spectrum or the whole magnitude of this move the next day, probably these 2 days together will combine to equal the same price move prior to the doji. VRSN, another one that you stay long and you can be buying if it breaks out through this resistance level. And Southern Company, stay short until you see a buy signal. Angie List, this one's doing a J hook. You can also be buying this one on positive trading after today's little bullish engulfing signal. WLL, this one continue to hold. It's junky. It's in a downtrend, but you have to watch to see what it does once it gets up to the 50 area. See if it can break through this level right here. And WLT, nothing here one way or the other, except you have a doji at the end of a flat trading right on the T-line. Makes it very simple. If they open up positive, you want to be buying immediately because they've then made their decision coming out of that flat trading area. TWI, This one needs to open higher tomorrow to stay in it. If it opens lower, probably want to take a little bit off and see whether the T-lines are going to act as support. And LE, slow, steady uptrend. All you can do here is stay long until you see a sell signal or close below the T-line. LinkedIn, if this opens weaker tomorrow, you've got the doji sandwich set up to the bearish side after a kicker to the downside. You can definitely be shorting this one. I'm going to put that one as a possible put buy. WM, waste management. Another, notice what it did. It popped up and then went into a 45 degrees, same trajectory as what was going on before. And MGA, stay long until you see a sell signal. TGA, same scenario. There's got a J-hook pattern. This one you can still be buying on positive trading tomorrow. NPSP, setting up a little J-hook, indecisive trading. If it opens positive, you can get in it. If it opens negative, you want to be out of it. OPTR, nothing there. To stay in it, notice you had a selling day, not a sell signal. But then you had a sell signal 2 days afterwards, a bearish engulfing, or at least a dark cloud. Now you've got indecisive trading. This one's going to be the make or break. It has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. If it opens lower, you close it out. And VHC came back up above the T-line. It has to trade back positive tomorrow or up positive tomorrow to stay in it. And VMC, that's not what we want. We want VMW. We want, yes, VMW. This one, after the Morningstar signal, gap up through the T-line. This one's still going higher. If you're buying this one tomorrow, just use the 50-day moving average as your stop. CONN came back up through the T-line today. This one you can be buying, especially if it breaks out through this this level right here. And UAL, stay long until you see a sell signal. Wouldn't necessarily be buying here, but I'd definitely be holding this one. MCP. Oh, do this every time. MCP. All you can do on this one is stay long as it doesn't close below the T-line. ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil's moving up, but ExxonMobil does not have the price movement that you, not even enough hardly to trade options with. So I just I stay away from the biggies. Zillow, you stay long as it stays above the T-line. And DHI, J-hook pattern setup. This one you can be buying on positive trading. Now, if it closes back below the T-line, you're back out of this one. Did LinkedIn. Oops. S.FG. This one you can be shorting or stay short at this point. Now, it did test the 200 today, so you want to watch to make sure they don't do kind of a bullish harami tomorrow if you're short. If you see the bullish Harami, you want to close out the position. That tells you they supported or they were buying at the 200 and they're not taking it down any further. ABFS. Nice big gap up today. This one you can be buying using the halfway point of this candle, anticipating a 45-degree, the same trajectory. DDD just keeps going. I suspect at least they're going to come back up here to test this level. If they get through there, obviously the next level. But they did the little trend kicker today, which kind of gives you the impression they're still going to take this higher. And CTSH, this one you can stay with as long as it doesn't close below the T line. OREX. This one's, I would think, is in a wedge formation also. There's nothing here that would make me want to buy this one right now. Nothing here that would make me want to short it. Short on wheat and lean hogs. Yes, wheat, I'm looking at shorting, especially, it's trading up a little bit tonight, but I'm just going to put a sell stop at today's low. If it comes down through there after a bearish Harami gap down, inverted scoop, they should be almost slingshotting it to the downside. Lean hogs. Also kind of failed right here. There's a little trend channel here. If it comes back down there, then you see what it does to test it. I'm short live cattle. Trading up a little bit after hours, but gives the impression they're going to bring it back down to this lower trend channel. And I'm also short feeder cattle, which, as you can see, it's been in a downtrend. You get a bearish Harami followed by a gap down. Stochastics rolling over. I would suspect the next support level is somewhere down in here. Let's see, is this July corn? Same scenario on corn. You had your doji that failed right here at the 50, gap down through the T line. I would suspect they're coming back down to test this level right down here. I'd be short this one if it starts dropping through, especially through today's low. BTU, no, S dot BTU. Came back up through the 50. You can be buying this on positive trading tomorrow. Just use the 50 as your stop. FXY, stay short. That's the yen. Stay short. Still in a downtrend. And ACAD. ACAD is still below the T line. Notice how they couldn't take it back up through. Stochastic still heading down. If you're short, you stay short. If you're looking to go long, you need to see it close back up above the T line before you want to get back in. KERX. This one can be bought on positive trading, but your first target obviously is the top of the trend channel. So watch to see what it does once it gets up to that area. RAX has been having a hard time. It's come right back up to the 50 and started selling off, but it's still in an uptrend as long as it doesn't close below the T line. So watch to see what it does over the next couple of days right here between the T line and the 50-day moving average. ABMD, after the gap up doji and the slow curve, I anticipate there's more upside. I would anticipate they're going to bring it up into here and then go into a 45-degree, which would be that same trajectory. And Bank of America, we did. That had the gap up today. TRUV. That's got a good chart to it. Notice how it was indecisive pullback right to the T line. Now taking it up through the resistance level. This one you can still be buying. Eagle. Eagle needs a positive open tomorrow to keep the upward trajectory going. And VRGN. This one, you don't want to be in it. If I've got the right one. VRNG. Yeah, I would be out of this one. They're not going anywhere with this one. On a technical basis, anyways. COG, this one you can be buying. Double bottom, left-right combo, bullish confirmation. First target, second target. Rice traders drawing on rice paper, probably. Yep. Ford, stay long until you see a sell signal. Right now, I think you're getting ready for the next wave up. You had that strong move. Now you've got big consolidation. Now, this is an institutional trader, but it's still got some good upside potential. I still think this one could get up into the $20 range fairly quickly, meaning within the next few months. Tesla, we used Tesla earlier to show that it had a gap up and it stayed in an uptrend, did a kicker, trend kicker today. This one you stay long until you see a sell signal. And TIBX. Another one that can be bought with kind of a little rounding bottom, but yeah, doji gap up here the last couple of days. So this one you want to buy, just be very careful once it gets to the 50 to see if it can break through or not. Adobe kind of fizzled here today. It's still in an uptrend, but I wouldn't. This one needs to open positive and trade positive to really stay in aggressively or hope for an aggressive move on it. MYGN, another J-hook pattern that's setting up very well. This one you definitely buy on positive trading tomorrow because that would be confirming the direction how they're trading after a doji, number one, and number two would be confirming the J-hook pattern. UTHR, another one that's had consolidation, but notice what it did today. Touched the T-line, did a doji, makes it very simple. If it opens positive tomorrow, you can be buying. Let's see. XLU, the utility sector getting banged up pretty good. This one you can stay short. XLP, which is the consumer staples. This one has a little evening star setup. If this opens lower, you want to be out of it. And XLV. Same scenario here. If this opens lower, you want to be out of it. Notice how you've got sideways move with lots of sell signals occurring over the last couple of weeks. That pretty much tells you this one's getting tired. Did we do Cree? Cree was getting a little bit toppy. Whoop, no, it wasn't. That was a few days ago. This one you stay long as it stays above the T line. Netflix. Netflix did a doji right on the T line. This one's very simple. It'll move in the direction of how they open it tomorrow. Under Armour, another J hook. If this opens positive, it's going to be breaking you up to the upside. LS could be. And that didn't work. S.UUP. This one I wouldn't be long or short. The dollar, right now it's in a sideways drift. Okay, I need to scroll down some more. Did Dunkin' Donuts, SLCA. This one needs to open positive and trade positive tomorrow to break out through the downtrending channel. And EVR, this one you can be buying on positive trading. Just use the T line as your stop. We did VHC, Google. Google has a good day there for a while. Yep, closed at the top of the trading day. So that one's going to keep the market confidence build up as long as Google's moving positive. But Amazon, you want to stay short. Notice it did a doji right on the T line. It needed to move in the direction how they were opening it, or it was going to move in the direction how they opened it, which they took it down, which tells us that the 50-day moving average is the likely target at this point. QIHU, nice breakout. Look for a 45 degree to come off of here. And HIMX got soggy up here. Bearish engulfing right at the breakout point. It's still got possibilities, but it's going to take a few days to get it around and heading back up. If this traded back below the T line, I'd definitely be out of it. HIMX, we did that one, right? Yes. And Mind Speed. This one you want to get ready to buy on positive trading. Stochastic still heading up. You had a gap up, but you had a bullish confirmation that kind of said that the selling had stopped. And CELG, stay long on this one. It needs to open positive tomorrow to stay in it. We did U.S. Steel, which was did a kicker type signal yesterday. This one you continue to hold with the anticipation that it needs to butt through the the 50-day moving average. ABMA S.AMBA. Did a doji sandwich today, closed above the little peak. This one you can stay long until you see a sell signal. ABV. ABV. Looks like the consolidation's over. I'd rather see this come back up through today's open before I would buy it. And GT, Goodyear. This one you can be buying, but you just have to watch to see what it does once it gets to the top of the channel. ONNN. Stay long until you see a sell signal. Okay. Right, MS. There is no ending and beginning and closing, but there is a 45-minute rest period. I think sometime late in the evening. You can use that as your something to show the beginning and the end. Yeah, whenever you see a reversal, if it's way gone past the area where the buy was on the reversal, just wait. There's so many trades out there every day that you have a constant supply that you don't have to be chasing after anything. Let's see. Yep, still scrolling. Okay, I'd say, all right. Okay, don't see anything that's real earth-shattering from here. So with that, we'll say good evening and hope everybody has a good trading day tomorrow. We'll see you in the chat room tomorrow.